We thought of that along the way, and it's a legitimate concern to raise, but we don't think it's an issue. Yeah, we thought about it, yeah.
That's not my experience, but I could be wrong.
Okay.
And you'll be happy to know, Ann, that they did make that drainage connection last week. And I have every finger crossed that can possibly be crossed that we have resolved the drainage issue that has been an absolute nightmare for right above your property.
That's part of the drainage issue, but you still get all of the snow from the roof. I don't know if there's going to be any way of putting a gutter or a drain on the roof so that when it starts to melt, it can drain into something other than Conway Street.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Well, there's a drain inlet where any of the water that's on the site, on the paved surfaces are in this plan. There's a grading plan, there it is, that takes the water to the drain system that exists on Conway Street below grade. So it's caught. So for instance, the terrace is all caught internally and put into a drain and taken to that drain outlet. And that's the biggest piece, and the roof of the building drops most of its water, some of it on the ramp, so we have to catch that, but most of it's dropped on the terrace. Yeah. Okay. So we're good. These drawings are not final drawings, but they're far enough along to know we had to get pretty far in the feasibility to make sure this tight little site would work. And so we're using every inch we can, trying to make things as proper size as they can be to be civic and helpful. And, but make sure we don't get in trouble. So it's pretty well along. Working drawings are follow, and things like what is being raised by Ann is certainly going to be studied even more as we produce the drawings that build this. Yeah.
So I hope that you are aware that the utility pole on that little hill closest to the road is there because it had to be for my building.
Yeah, it is there. And we're going to be, I think, turning the generator or the transformer that's there a little bit.
All right. So, phase one.
Okay.
Like, do you want to join? Because you gave it, I know, you gave it to Andy.
So I would make a motion to allow the Riverview Park Committee to move forward into seeking grant funding for phase one.
My turn?
Yeah.
I second it.
We're equal opportunity.
Any further discussion? Bearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Good luck. Question for Heather again. We know we'll come back from phase two. Sure. But is there another point where we'll be coming before you guys to review? I mean, we're going to go through a couple of stages with more complete documents and drawings. Do you need to see them, or are we okay to go?
I think for, this phase here, you were looking at pretty much general layout.
That's right.
Which, I think we all approve of your general layout of the property.
And this is one really great communicating group of people. I'll tell you, nobody I know but no other group communicates as well and as often as this group does.
We're gonna come back here.
So when I get information back from them as this project moves along, I'll make sure I keep reported.
One example would be for, like, when Walt did his design, there was one type of pavilion, and then we decided, Mike and I talked, that when I said, well, I could do this, put it into a photograph, do you want me to use a pavilion like what Walt did? And Mike said, well, how about we do a more wooden structure? So the actual design of the pavilion has not been
Established. I think we got that, yeah.
And so the question that I would have is that something that you feel that you need to be able to weigh in on?
Sure.
Or
Sure, why not?
Yeah, I mean, I think
interested.
once you, this, I think when you figure out your design that you guys want to go with, I mean, I think, quite honestly, we should have some public input on it. I would say not even just for us, you know, but I think when you guys come up with your design, setting a public hearing and, you know, getting it out there for everybody.
They did have a really great public input meeting to get to this stage, to be able to bring this to you. So I think if we follow that same theme, that you do your public outreach, make sure that you're communicating with as many of the residents as possible, and then you can bring that, and then, and I will.
Different project, you know? I mean, it's
Yeah.
not kind of like,
Yeah.
it's not like Depot Street where, you know, once you got all your rendering, this is what's gonna happen with it.
Right.
You know, we're kind of,
I think that's
we're kind of working our way
not
through
only a
it.
fair question, it's a good question, and I look forward to bringing, and when we work out, decide ourselves, get some public input. I mean, we don't really know, we haven't universally agreed, like, well, the pavilion ought to like this or like that, or
Right,
whatever,
right.
and Marie came up with the idea, oh, it should be a sign that says Riverview Park. Well, that's something we hadn't thought about.
Well, and it might be something to where you guys aren't really gonna know on your design until you get phase one done and that platform is there for people to actually be able to visualize it,
Oh,
you know?
I thought phase one included the pavilion,
It
does, yeah.
currently does,
Yeah.
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 so.
Yeah, but I mean, you know, in that portion though of phase one, I mean, you know how large the pavilion's gonna be, but you haven't quite figured out
Right.
how it's.
Phase one is your
Right
ramp
now, it
accessibility.
seems like,
yeah.
see if I'm accurate on this, but phase two is basically the stairway that goes up. Is that's it on phase two, maybe?
And the
platform
platform going
at the
out
top.
to the viewing station.
Yeah. So that's like
Stairway
phase,
and then the
Yeah.
platform at the
Yeah,
top.
I don't know if you picked up on that, but there, from Depot Street, there's actually a platform at that sidewalk level, and then you can go into the spiral stair cookout.
okay.
So that would be ADA compliant?
The platform would be.
Right.
Not the stairway.
No way.
Yeah, the railway to the viewing station.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have one more question, sorry to ask this question. I'm concerned about the slant of the roof in the pavilion. My house that recently burned had about that slant, and there was always a problem.
Had what, I'm sorry?
The slope of the roof,
Okay, yeah.
because the snow, when we have a snowy winter, just hangs there and can create a weight issue.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it needs to have a steeper pitch.
We will design it so that it'll carry the load at whatever pitch we build it. And so,
Okay.
yeah, so that, maybe, I'm not sure about your structure, but if it's underbuilt and
No, it was built correctly, but
Okay. yeah.
This was just a sample pavilion. I
Yeah.
think your point about let's make sure that it's gonna hold the weight and shed, or
And
hold
shed
snow and
some
shed
of the
snow the
snow.
way we want.
Yeah.
This is just one example,
Okay.
and then Walt had did another example, so nothing's set in
Okay.
stone on that.
Okay.
And we're also balancing that with not wanting to get it too high, so we're blocking the view of the river from.
right, oh, I know,
Yeah.
but,
From Depot
So
Street or
we'd have an engineer, the design of the
Yeah.
roof would be by an engineer, right?
Yeah, I want to come back to Clint's very opening point about maintenance, and to say that we as a group are enthusiastic about, we see this as a real opportunity. And so far, because certain things, like who is actually, we don't want to make maintenance a bigger issue than it is, but we think and believe it's resolvable. But the opportunity is so great, we wanted to take it that far and work our way and build the excitement for those who need to volunteer if that's happening, in order to get the town to participate in the way that it might be able to. All of that is resolvable, but you're not going to solve that ahead of time. So we want to move forward with the opportunity and solve those problems later. They're legitimate, so I'm just sanctioning that, but so
Right.
that's our position.
Yeah, I think phase one, it looks pretty good, the accessibility, and then phase 1.2, which is the design of your pavilion, we'll talk again. I think that's what I'm hearing from the town people also. Okay, so
And I'm all
we'll
for,
call that
you know,
1.2, you know.
I'm all for, you know, taking on that responsibility of
Yeah.
or maintenance of it. But if it's something that is, you know, there's a difference between, oh, it's gonna cost the town, you know, a couple $100 a year, or it's gonna cost the town $10,000 a year to maintain. So, you know, I'm for it to say, you know, we can figure it out after, but if that's what we're looking at, you can't really figure that out after. because at that point, it's too late. You know, so now you have something that's brand new that, you know, if we can't afford to maintain it, is just gonna become dilapidated within, you know, 10 years.
Yeah.
So if we can't afford the maintenance on it, you know, we've got to figure out a different angle on it.
Design needs to be respectful to.
Yeah, so it's-
Yes.
first of all, it's going to be designed so it's easily to maintain it. Drains don't get plugged easily or whatever. And it's, again, with the word used earlier, a manageable size. It's not a monstrous thing. So we're not adding big numbers of anything to the project.
There's one more thing to add to our person who's in charge of building maintenance and that kind of stuff, which, you know, so if it works, great, you know, so we're not overburdening him, yeah, so that'd be great.
Well, it looks like it's going to be very cool, and you guys are going to be proud of the town doing it, providing it. And I especially, this came later, I will say, it wasn't up what I thought about up front, but having enough benches and just for the people who don't want to, who can't afford or whatever, go up to sit with Mary up on Blue Rock and have a martini or whatever, like a beer. They just want to sit there with their kid and their stroller and rock back and forth and sit and enjoy the view. And I'm looking forward to taking every opportunity we can in this park so that can happen easily.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Something that just maybe came to thought is,
Uh-oh.
why are you always gonna be like that? I'm thinking outside the box. I would like to do a little bit more research on, and when I say I would like to have you do a little bit more research on,
This is what I figured, yeah.
on the liability portion of
Yeah.
these stairs. Just thinking possibly before we get to the pavilion. Because if, looking down the road, if the stairs is not gonna be feasible, then making the pavilion bigger to where we can still utilize that entire space. And instead of having the staircase, having just a larger pavilion for more seating.
Yeah, I
So
think that's.
maybe that might be a good point to, when we come back to the table.
And see how we make out. So
Right.
is that something Heather would be? okay,
Yes.
that's-
Maybe
yes.
look at your
Oh,
current
yes.
town policies and see if there's riders and additions that can be added to it, I
Yeah,
would
oh,
think.
absolutely. So, knowing that it's an enclosed structure versus an unenclosed structure, I think would be an important part of the conversation.
Right.
Because an enclosed structure, we could close in the winter months,
Yeah, and
you know.
block it off.
And block it off. I mean, to me, it's the
That would
snow
be
and
a
ice
wise idea.
that I have the most concern about,
Me too.
people using the stairs.
Right.
How tall is it? How tall would it be?
It's, overall, there's about 20 feet of grade change, and from that level, it's less than like 16, from Depot Street down to the terrace, the new terrace level.
So that would be the height
That's 2
of,
stories of a house, just the 2 floors of a house, so.
I mean, it could be something to where Heather reaches out to, you know, Maya, and they say, what are you, nuts? And you're looking at an extra $20,000 onto our insurance policy to cover the stairs. If that's the case, we're back to our maintenance feasibility, and the stairs are out the window at that point.
Yeah.
So, you know, those are the types of expenses that I'm looking at, you know, down the road. And if it's something that is going to, you know, cost the town a lot of money to have a nice staircase going up 16 feet, it may not be, the juice might not be worth the squeeze, but having a bigger pavilion at that point would. So I think we do some due diligence on that before the pavilion goes up. You know, and I think that would be probably a good time for you guys to bring that back to
We're
the
not building
table.
it tomorrow, so it looks like there's a chance to have that.
Right, yep.
I think both
So-
sides have got to work on,
Yeah.
look into it. yeah.
But we were just discussing on, you know, when do we think would be a good time to come back in to have another conversation? And I think prior to that pavilion going up would be the time.
But you're going to be doing a lot before the pavilion goes up. You're doing
Yeah.
phase 1, looks like much of the prep and the land and everything.
ramp and the
Exactly,
platform.
before, yeah. Yeah.
And the funding has to be in place, otherwise we don't put a shovel in the ground, so.
Right. Yep.
But you get it, the money's there to design it now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have about 60K.
Right.
Okay, good.
And one thing I will say, looking through my guidelines about building basically tourism facilities, they have a lot of interesting things there that they talk about bathrooms and garbage and maintenance. So we have to strengthen that part of our application so we can get the money. But it goes to what you're
Right.
worrying about
Yep.
or concerned about.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I appreciate
In
it.
constant, maybe we should have telepathy going.
We practically do.
That's right.
Practically.
The only thing you're
If I-
missing is
if
the
it-
hand with the string.
If a day goes by that I don't have an email for somebody in this group, I get nervous that you're all still.
How are you?
Thank you very much. It'll be a nice project. And
Yes.
the Public Safety Committee is meeting tomorrow, and we'll have your
Okay.
speed limit, and they're gonna
Thanks, Mike.
take a look at the Mass DOT regulations
Right.
and figure out how that fits in. So
Yeah.
they should, and then that process is the Public Safety Committee then makes a recommendation
Okay.
to the Select Board for next steps.
Okay,
So it's received and in the mill,
okay.
okay? Thanks.
All right. So we got past our surplus property on our agenda. We have no further appointments. So it looks like we are on to our one-stop grant application list.
So I've put together a short list, 3 projects that I've sent to the One Stop program. Like your feedback on that. Am I missing anything? Is there anything that I've listed that you don't think I should move forward with? For those at home, it's a 3rd phase on Charlemont Road. Work at the culvert on Elm and Pine, and then some funding for demo at 50 Conway Street, the old highway garage.
Sounds like a pretty good project. The people that we met with down there,
Be more
was that,
specific.
was that for, were they part of the
Oh.
one-stop?
Yes, yeah.
And I
yeah,
thought they said it
Master
wasn't a qualification.
The Brownfields wasn't,
Okay.
Yeah.
Brownfields. I
yeah,
was
yep, no,
Summer,
no.
so I couldn't remember.
And that would, that would be after we receive funding to remove the building anyway. So this, and it's kind of a long shot, I think.
Right.
But knowing that we're gonna be out to bid soon for the salt shed, and knowing that that's gonna make that project front and center. If we don't get awarded this year, at least I'll get some good feedback from One Stop about how to make that project more, that's really, I think, half of the advantage of these grant applications is the feedback that you get. And you get it on their radar so that
Right.
they're aware of what you're working on.
Well, I
But
mean,
if there's anything in addition to these 3 projects that you would like me to focus on, I'm happy to do so.
Just keep Upper Elm Street on your mind whenever we got them in here, but that's, like
Yeah.
I say, that's good, I think that's gonna take an engineer also, it's not
Yeah,
just a simple
yeah.
hard top.
Yeah.
yeah, no,
It's
that's
not,
your drainage.
Yeah,
your
yeah.
One of the things that we're working on
Expensive project.
it is.
with the, with FERCog would be to take our and I apologize for the name of this report, because it's not an appropriate name for the report, but it's called the Slum and Blight. And what that means really is what areas in your community are considered eligible for grant activity based upon need and condition. And it doesn't mean that the properties in that area are either slum or blight. It's just the term that the state uses, and it is a terrible term. But right now, all of the, no.
See, not
Right
talking
now.
about the ones further up, because they're all over $500,000-$600,000 homes.
But what we need to do is have that map
Sure, of course.
revisited, because it was done probably 10, 15 years ago. We want to have them come out and just draw that circle bigger, which would make more properties and more streets eligible for grant funding. So that's the next step that gets us closer to Upper
I
Elm.
think you'd circle the whole town.
Yeah, well, you really could, based on the criteria, but what we want to do is really focus, we
definitely.
want to focus on that end of the community for a little while. The other grant that we're putting together is, I'm working with the town of Shelburne, through my role as your sewer department or sewer district administrator. We're putting together a one-stop grant for the pump station, which is on Deerfield Ave in Shelburne. So I'm working with Shelburne on that to make sure that that application is put in, because it's in desperate need of some renovations.
So I think maybe one of a different spot to look rather than 50 Conway Street, because I know the Elm Street culvert, you know, that's a must. Charlemont Road, that phase 3, that's also a must, because I know it's that road's getting beat up. But Hog Hollow, that is.
Yeah, the problem with is it's only local traffic on Hog Hollow. In order for the STRAP grant, in order for something to be eligible for a STRAP grant, it has to have connection to to the village, or not the village, like Charlemont Road is a connector between Route 2 and 112. Elm Street is a connector from that neighborhood to the village. We can certainly shop it. I'm happy, and this is what I'm asking for too, is feedback. So I'm not saying no. I'm just saying that I don't know how competitive Hog Hollow Road would be because of the nature of the traffic on that road.
Yeah.
The retired
I mean,
road crew boss from Shelburne Loose on it.
well,
So
that's not even my concern. My concern is, right now, I think that is probably
the worst road
the
in
worst
town.
road in town.
Oh, I would agree. I
Yeah.
agree. I agree.
And Charlemont Road is, that outer section is probably second on the list.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So, you know,
yeah.
we're working through Charlemont Road, we're getting there.
Yeah.
But I know Hog Hollow's gotta be very high on our list.
I know that Anthony has prioritized that. He and I are meeting tomorrow to look at our Chapter 90 assets and whether or not, similar to what we do on East Buckland, try to get some pricing for Hog Hollow Road for the same
That's,
interim
I
treatment.
mean, I think if they were able to do a good portion of the prep work,
Yeah.
and get that taken care of, I think.
I don't know what engineering's gonna need necessarily, that's on a hill too, so you wonder.
Well, but I mean, I don't think there's a lot of engineering. I think it's more of, you know, because I don't think there's a lot of culverts on there.
No.
I don't know.
I think there's only
There
maybe one or
probably
two.
isn't a water problem either, that's what I was thinking, I don't know.
Right, so I think it might be more of side drainage.
Yeah, that's in tough shape.
Yeah, but I think that's something that, you know, our road crew is potentially gonna be able to tackle, which
Yeah.
is a big part of the cost.
Yeah.
So,
We are aware of Hog Hollow and the fact that it's not going to hold together much longer. There's a number of roads that are in that vicinity that we know we've got to pay attention to.
yep, unfortunately, it's gonna take time and money, and,
Well,
you know,
I go back to, the amount of money that we will not have to spend on patch and repairs to Conway, Summer, South, in Conway, to Upper North, to the sections of Charlemont Road. You know, as we knock,
Buckland Road.
right, as we knock off some of these roads, we will not have to spend as much money on the repairs, and we can start recouping some of that money back into actual road reconstruction.
We're getting there.
We're getting there.
Honestly, I think, you know, this was, I think, part of a 5-year plan that we had, and I think with the road crew that we have right now, they are knocking it out of the park. Because I think
Yes.
they've gone past what I thought we'd be able to do in 5 years. They've actually overcome that portion of it, so.
Finishing North Street will be great, because that's such a huge
Yep.
road to get from the high school to, Buckland Rec,
I,
transfer
yeah,
station. I'm so happy you
yeah, I am too, I am too.
Really am.
Yeah.
Because Heather played hardball,
Yeah, well, somebody had to, I'm glad you got it.
so yes, I think that is a good list. I would like to maybe look a little further into Hog Hollow and see if
Yeah,
there's
I
something we
will.
can try to
Yep.
slide in.
Yep. Keeping in mind, though, that all of those grants would be applied for in the same category. So Hog Hollow, Charlemont Road, and Elm Pine would be competing against each other
Right.
for the town of Buckland. So,
If we had to prioritize them, I would say Elm Street culverts first.
okay. Yep.
Because,
They're gonna be-
yeah, well, when those go,
Larry doesn't get
Larry-
it.
We lose
Larry doesn't
Larry.
come to meetings anymore.
I understand. I understand.
It's not just Larry,
yeah.
but everybody else.
Oh, I
is
know,
gonna be
I know.
trapped.
It's,
So, you know,
that situation
Right.
would make that grant very competitive, I feel.
you know,
And I would
Charlemont Road is rough to drive on. I get it,
Yeah.
you know, that's definitely a high priority for us, but, you know, driving slower on a rough road or not being able to drive down the road, period. I think that's.
Yeah,
kind of
we've
a-
also got to look at Avery too, because Avery is starting to really
Yeah.
disintegrate as well. But anyway, now I'm going to be up all night thinking about all the roads we need to repair, so let's,
You're welcome.
thank you.
All right, so we didn't need anything for that.
No, I just want to make sure that I'm going in a direction that you're aware of and comfortable with.
Continue to march.
Okay.
All right, so contract and grant documents. We have updates on the freight yard and Depot Street.
Just real briefly, that project is obviously moving ahead very nicely. Sidewalk has been going in this week. There's binder coat on both the freight yard and on Depot. We met today with with Sam Bartlett and representing the trolley yard, looking at some opportunities to replace and repair some of the track where it intersects with the town property. So there was some, because it's such a lost art, it's been a real challenge finding contractors and materials to make those improvements. But I think we found a solution today, and that Sam's good with and that the contractor is good with. So there'll be some work to the track over the next couple of days. And then, and also we really talked a lot about signage up top, because now that it's going to be a one-way up Depot, and at the top of that road, or if you're coming into the parking lot and you come through and you think, oh, you'll go down Depot because that's the way you've always gone, there's now going to be a lot of, do not enter messaging, but really nothing that tells you what to do. And if you're not familiar with the area, you might be likely to start driving the track into the trolley yard. So trying to find some...
Following them business.
We're following them business. So we want to follow them business in a safe and manageable way. So we talked a lot about what is an appropriate messaging, instead of just telling people what not to do, giving them better signage that helps to direct them, get them back around onto
Now, did we
Ashfield.
lose, as far as the Blue Rock goes, did they lose a lot of parking? Because now we're going,
No,
I didn't think they would.
They were, before they could stack they could pull and stack. What we have now are 19 spaces
Yes.
and there will be parallel
Parallel.
parking from just about flush with the beginning of the building, and then as you go up Depot. The plan calls for 19. That's what's been measured out. We know that obviously as you get closer to State and Ashfield, it gets really narrow, so there won't be any off-street parking in that section. But I think 19 spaces is
Are
a
we
good,
getting rid of the 2 spaces that are now at the beginning of Ashfield Street? Should go up there, right by the church, the brick?
Yes, because the
Yeah.
sidewalk
I
comes
was
all the
gonna
way
say-
down.
yeah,
sidewalk
yeah,
comes all the
because
way
sidewalk's
down.
coming all the way down. But you gotta,
Good.
if you haven't been to the Freight Yard parking lot area lately,
Oh, yeah.
take a drive in, because although it's not marked, the amount of space that we have picked up there is just incredible, and it looks, it's always been obviously the same size, but it just looks so much
Yeah.
bigger now.
Cleaned up and marked, everything, it's gonna
Yeah,
look, yeah.
it's gonna be nice.
I was so
Yeah.
impressed watching them put that walkway in. I mean, one day it was a little bit, every time I drove down, it was,
Yeah.
whoa, and that's why I laughed when I saw their name on their building, you know, it's the
Yeah, yeah,
Riverview, which is, that's what they were calling, we were calling it the Riverview Walkway. And,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's coming along.
It is coming along. Once they finish up with the sidewalk area there, they're gonna be able to put the, hi Dan,
Am I the only one from the town?
I will be out in just 2 seconds. Thanks. North Street, they're gonna put binder down next week, on the drainage portion of that. They'll be out of town for a couple of weeks after that, and then they'll come back and do the reconstruction of the road. So there'll be a bit of a lag there. We probably won't see a lot of the road work done until later this summer, but the drainage is in place. And then lastly, we're out to bid on Charlemont Road, and I would have those bid results for you at your next meeting. You'll be probably looking to make an award at the meeting on the 28th, and then that project will get started.
Good, thank you.
Yeah.
Excellent.
That's great.
Okay. Moving on, permits and licenses. So we have the Buckland Library is looking for a town hall use permit for May 25th. We have the Mary Lyon Foundation looking to utilize the town hall on May 31st. And then we also have the VFW is looking for their annual parade permit for the Memorial Day Parade. And then the Hat and Sock Memorial Day Parade.
Right, see that too.
Okay, I'll be there.
So I've had a chance to look at all of them.
Me too.
I think, I will make a motion to approve all of the permits all at once.
I'll second that,
Any
yes.
further discussion?
Nope.
Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Minutes and warrants. We have the April 23rd minutes. Thank you, Mary. Wonderful job as always. We also have the March 7th regular session minutes as well. I'll make a motion to approve both April 23rd and March 7th
May 7th.
minutes.
It's May 7th. Is it May 7th?
Oh, yeah, it is May 7th. Sorry, May 7th, not March.
Oh, all right, I'll
I
correct it.
had
No,
March
you're
written
right.
here,
You're right.
but I think, yeah, we had April and May's
Oh, it
minutes.
says May on, it says May on.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, okay.
As I was reading, I had March written here, so,
Sorry, I thought.
April 23rd and May 7th. I'll make a motion to approve both April 23rd and May 7th's regular session minutes.
I second that.
Further discussion?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
We have the payroll warrants for both April 26th and May 9th, and then the vendor warrants for May 9th. Make a motion to approve both payroll warrants for April 26th, May 9th, and the vendor warrants for May 9th.
I'll second that.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Items not reasonably anticipated 48 hours in advance. I have nothing. Select board member concerns.
No, I will be attending the Rural Downtown District at FERCog on May 23rd, and I'll probably go to the library one on the 25th. So, yeah, it's their Yeah, that's all, I'll tell you what I'm doing.
You'll attend the FERCog, what, I guess,
It's a rural downtown district,
rural downtown, you said?
yeah, rural downtown district, it's May 23rd at FERCog.
Okay.
And then I'm going to be attending this one for the library. I think they're having a community thingy here at the town hall.
Did you do that other one over in Adams?
I did it in Lenox.
Lennox.
I went to Lenox and I went to Northampton. I did those two.
Right. Those were after our last meeting, right?
It was on the 27th that I went to Northampton,
Mm-hmm.
and that was MMA.
Yep.
And then the one that, this letter about thank you for your attendance, the Berkshire Hill and the Berkshire, Beacon Hill, I went to that as well on April 20, no, it wasn't April, it was earlier in April.
Ah.
So, basically what you heard from people was, we need more money from the state. We need money to pay for the transportation for vocational. We heard, basically that's what I kept hearing over and over at this particular meeting.
Yep.
The other meeting was more like presentations by people like, talking about what the state's doing for us, you know.
Good.
What's the library one? Is that for the Buckland Library?
Yeah, it's going to be,
Well, that's okay, I just didn't know if it was for ARMS, for Buckland.
Buckland Public Library.
Yeah, Buckland Public Library, and it's a community forum for library strategic planning,
Okay.
525. Since library is kind of in my wheelhouse, I will go to that, and it's only 1 hour. But they're not serving any refreshments.
Oh, you should bring some.
Wow.
I'm only joking.
All right, moving on. It looks like Heather has stepped out. I don't think she had a whole lot else though for her town administrator's report.
No,
But
she's,
we'll give her the opportunity if she steps back in. Public comment?
no.
There's nobody here, so we're good with there. Volunteer recognition. I would like to reach out and thank Carol Leach, Pam Guyette, Herb Guyette, Joan Livingston, and, she left herself out, but Heather Butler,
Yes.
for spending their Saturday morning at the Buckland Police Station building,
A good
holding
time.
their tag sale event.
Good time was had by all. We had a fun time, you know.
Sounds like it wasn't much of a sacrifice for you guys. Sounds like you
No.
guys had a good time.
Well, Karen and I stationed ourselves downstairs with where all the stuff was, and Pam and Heather, and Herb was our muscle man. If things are heavy, he would carry it out, But it was interesting what people bought,
Yeah.
and that was a lot of fun. So it was a nice, friendly way to meet people and see what what we could provide,
Excellent.
What kinds of things were left to?
Well, let's see, there was some tools, there was, I don't know, a lot of buttons, hazmat suits, there's a lot of COVID stuff there,
Oh,
masks and stuff. People who took masks, like people are gonna paint or they're working on construction, they could take that stuff.
Sure.
A chair, yeah, it was interesting what people took. There's still stuff left though,
Not for long.
Not for long, I hope. But it's been a long project. I mean,
Yeah.
we put all that, collecting all that junk, and of course the highway, department helped with getting rid of a lot of the junk,
Would you like to come back for your town administrator's report? Or are we good?
Carry on. You need our support?
I'm down to announcements, so.
All right.
Okay, announcements is fine,
Okay.
thank you.
All right. Announcements and upcoming meetings. May 28th, we have a meeting of the select board at 5:30. And June 4th is annual town elections. What time will the polls be open for that?
10 a.m.?
10 a.m. to 8 p.m.?
Sure. Yes.
All right. So please come down, vote. And that's all I have. I would move to adjourn.
I'll second that. My turn to think.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, and have a good evening.
What's happened out there?
Nothing, they just, it's technical.
Hey, good evening, and welcome to the Buckland Select Board meeting of Tuesday, May 14th. It is 5:30, and we will move right into our first appointment. We have Steve Howland here. Yep, if you want to move up to the microphone, Steve. Steve is here to discuss a shared conservation agent intermunicipal agreement with several towns.
Yeah, five
towns.
Five towns.
So it is, where'd my list go? I had it. Town of Ashfield, town of Buckland, Goshen, Hawley, Whately, and the town of Williamsburg. All right. Good evening, Steve. How are you?
Good. What do you want to know? I give you a little background, or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, we've been meeting as the five towns for maybe a year. I'm not sure, maybe not quite a year, just to talk about this. And really, the reason it's come up is that, and sort of the reason that I would like to have that happen is the same for all the towns. The turnover on commission members, and we've had pretty good turnover here in town, and that response times to inquiries, which sort of varies. It's real good with, when Alex was here, I'm sort of doing the responses now, I'm not as good. And we have a window that we have to respond in, and I do that. I think that we could do, but I've also sort of going forward, and we think about the towns, because it gets into the climate change issues, and like last year, Conway Select Conservation Commission members were really busy because they had to help with all the roads that got washed out. And that's sort of, we're sort of future thinking how, if we're busy, and that varies now, but we could have these times where we really get overwhelmed with having to deal with major storms. So trying to deal with that, and the idea would be to have some cohesive, a person, a shared agent who can float between the towns and do responses for us, but also that the towns are all kind of responding in the same way, because it varies, and I've actually done a lot of work because of being in the snowmobile club. I'm president of the Buckland Club, and building bridges in Hawley and dealing with Asheville. It's interesting how we built bridges. We built a bridge in Buckland last year, and we went through a big notification of intent process, and it was really great. And I talked to Asheville, and they said, "Oh, you don't need to do that, an RDA would be fine." I was like, well, it's a big difference between doing an RDA. So having some parallel structure, I think our website, if people don't really know, people don't know to contact me, and we've run into that. I am probably the best person to contact, but in the current makeup of the board. And I haven't looked, I didn't meant to look at the website, I'm sure my number's on there, but information about what does it mean. I want to build a deck. Do I have to, and I've got a stream out the back, what do I need to do? And we could have that information, I think, some towns, I look around, sometimes when I need to know an answer, I look at other towns' websites who've done a better job, and I think, oh, well, I get back because this town on the Cape has a really nice, clear way of doing that. So procedures, website, all that stuff would be something that we could share among all the towns, put the same information on the towns. So we kind of came up with a working agreement we try to find an equitable solution for the cost of the town, and I think Heather could speak more to how that got broken down basically, but I think we decided by population pretty much. And that would and how many hours we thought we would need per town. Ashfield is happy to provide an office for a shared agent, so that they would hold the agent there. We did get a grant to fund the first year of having an agent, so the request of the select board is to agree to the second 2 years for funding for that, correct?
Well, we would ask them to enter into the intermunicipal agreement so that we could take advantage of the first year's services. It's a 3-year
Right.
agreement, but until we agree to participate, we would not have access to that person.
Right.
That person's salary is covered by the grant for FY25. So by signing this agreement, we know that we're committing to funding it in 26 and 27.
And I think, the bottom line probably is the turnover problem and I'm, honestly, I don't want to be on Conservation Commission forever either. And currently we have a pretty good team, but two of them have called me and said, I don't want to do it anymore. And I said, no, you have to. You can't get off. And, so make it, if we had a shared agent, so that the responsibility of the board members was to go to meetings, to work with that agent, I think it would be easier to have. I mean, we want to keep the control in the towns, which is part of that, right? Because it's nice to have local control over stuff, but sometimes, it's not always, but sometimes it just can get. Dealing with the railroad has come up, and that's been kind of a pain over the last couple of years, and we think I don't know if you know Mark Stinson, he's the DEP rep, and he's been thankful that we've kind of, and only a couple other towns have sort of held the line on the railroad and said, we're not going to sign off on your spraying until you tell us where the wetlands are, because you've delimited wetlands. And last year, they just backed off and they wouldn't do it. And they kind of, I think they find the towns tend to just roll over and say, yeah, go ahead and spray. And we haven't been willing to do that. And this year they said, they're back, and I talked to the guy, and he said, yeah, we're going to delineate. And Amherst, I just got an email from the Amherst Conservation, they actually did do that. They delineated no spray zones. They actually, I think, but they said they would take us out, because he said, it's 7 miles of rail. They said, well, we'll walk that, no problem. But now they're talking, well, we'll get you a car. So we're really holding out to get a ride on the railroad. But, just going back and forth with that and keeping track of where we're at, because Alex did and I had to contact Alex when I got the letter from, I said, okay, where were you? And fortunately, I still have contact with Alex, because if I hadn't been working with Alex, the next person around wouldn't know, well, what it would start the process all over again, which we didn't have to do, because I knew who to talk to. So continuity, maybe a big deal.
And I will offer that the Mass DEP, which is the regulatory authority, there's a lot of filings that have to be done. There's a regular upkeep of that paperwork, and it really extends beyond the scope of what a volunteer would do on a board or committee. There are 4 regulatory committees in Buckland: Planning, Zoning, Board of Health, and the Conservation Commission. The Board of Health and the Conservation Commission, I'll give you, they're the 2 that report to DEP and again have the biggest commitment for paperwork. We know that the Board of Health, we contract our agent services through FERCog, so that we don't have to worry about making sure that we're in compliance with DEP all the time. Having a similar sense of confidence that our paperwork and that our compliance with DEP through conservation would be equally as valuable. And so I would support this simply for my peace of mind, to make sure that when we're doing our projects, I look at it from I file maybe 4 or 5 RDAs for the conservation season, Steve and I kind of look at each other and make sure, did we dot all of our i's, cross all of our t's? Because if we don't, then we put our projects in jeopardy, and where we're using state money, we want to make sure that we are doing it correctly. But really having an agent would take an awful lot off of us.
Right.
And give you, the town, the assurance that the paperwork is properly filed.
Mark is great as an agent, but I think covers 150 towns or something like that, so.
And he works for DEP.
Yeah.
So really, when he's doing services for us, it's sort of beyond the scope of what his immediate responsibilities are.
Yeah.
He's very kind
great
and
help.
very helpful, but again, and this is a really.
But he called me and he said, we did an RDA and we did a negative determination, and he called me, he says, "You sure -2 is right? Isn't it supposed to be a -3?
Yeah.
Okay, right, because I don't. Mary on the board has done the training with the MACC. I have not.
That's the Massachusetts
Association of Conservation Commissions. I have not done that training. I haven't had the time to do that.
So the financial commitment of this would be in the ballpark of $12,000 for what we're looking at for FY26. If more communities sign on, which we seem to think that they will, much like our animal control and any of the other regional services, the cost will go down. I'm willing to look for the money in the budget to keep this going, simply because I feel it's a service that will pay for itself down the line.
How many of the towns have signed on?
The list is there, but is it 5 total?
Oh, they've already approved these other towns?
Oh, have they approved yet? No, I don't know. Asheville's definitely on board, and they're the biggest.
Yeah.
No, maybe Williamsburg is the biggest shareholder of it.
So when would it start? When would this?
So we get the approval, we'll go through we gotta go through the hiring process, and then I guess probably they would start at the first of the year.
July.
1st of July, is that the fiscal year? So they would get paid by a grant through that first fiscal year.
So, the grant that they received, is that covering everything for their startup? So, the vehicle?
Yeah.
All of that, the computer,
Yeah.
Yes.
phone?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a $90,000 grant.
Okay. Well, I think the total for the startup was like 108.
Yeah, we got 10,000 less than we asked for.
Yes, yeah. But Ashfield feels that they can fill in.
Yeah, well, but he'd asked for a lot, and
Right.
I think, in fact, I don't know I can't remember now whether they had included actually getting a car for the agent of that, but you could have the agent just reimburse them on mileage basis too, so.
How many hours roughly do you think you do a week for a conservation commission?
On a week, I don't call you. On a week, I don't.
On a week,
call
I'd call
them.
it. It could, I don't think I've done more than 10 in a week, and there probably are weeks where I haven't done any. So if you had to average it out, it's probably 3, 4 a week, maybe. And we do have it, and Mary is, I just didn't want to do the paperwork. Alex was doing it all, and surprisingly, I think he was putting a lot of time into it. And if you remember Alex, he wasn't in town too long, but.
Yeah, I remember Alex.
And, he just took it all the way to all of it, and then we left. I was like, So Kathy's happy to be the chair, so she runs the meetings, I do the site visits, Mary does the paperwork, but Mary's got a full-time job, so it can take her a week to get around to doing the paperwork, which is not ideal.
Well, and Kathy has a business.
And Kathy is going crazy with this business. And we're all, again, I think we're all, Pat Conlon is the newest member, and he's great, but he works full-time for Fish and Wildlife. But he works from his home, so he can get out and do a site visit with me. So, yeah.
No, everything that you guys do, definitely kudos. I'm just wondering, I'm kind of looking at this list, and, I'm glad you said it was, on average about, 5 to 10 hours a week.
Well, not 10 hours on a hard week, so really 3 to 4, maybe 5, something like that.
Would that be all of you? the whole,
No, I put it in the most hours,
Right,
for
okay.
sure.
you know, because that was my thing. If you were gonna say, oh, yeah, we're about 15 hours a week, well, you multiply that by 5 other towns.
Right, and that's,
An awful
but,
lot of work to put on one person,
But-
bouncing around from town to town.
Yeah, but keeping in mind too, that there are, that not all of the responsibilities of the local conservation
Right.
commission, of the commission members themselves will be transferable to the agent.
That's right.
This, the agent may accompany them on site visits, timing or scheduling allows, but ultimately, it would be our local commissioners that would be still doing the local work. It's really more the paperwork.
one of the things that when I first got on with Alex, I set up a Google spreadsheet of all the, trying to keep track, and then I couldn't get anybody else to work on that with me. And I'm just like, okay, I can't, but that goes back to sort of the paperwork issue of where does this piece stand that we're in, trying, and having somebody, that's sort of what a coordinated central person could just be a lifesaver. And Kathy, who runs just chairs the meetings, says, we don't need that for, I don't mind chairing meetings. I'm like, yeah, you're not out there fielding the calls and.
No, I understand. I totally get it. And I mean, who's to say that, we're looking at a 12 to 15,000.
Yeah, right.
We're making that commitment, but we also have a bear when it comes to grant finding.
Well, we can certainly look at them.
Further grants,
yeah. And I don't think if you would like another couple of weeks to think about it, we can bring this back to final decision.
I would say, as a taxpayer, but I'm also, do I feel we would get $12,000 or $15,000 in value out of this person? And if I think of my time, I think, yeah, sure, I wouldn't mind, that value's there for the town in making it a better situation, again, for keeping the local control.
Yeah.
I did ask Mark, if I can't get anybody or we can't get a quorum, what happens? It goes to the select board, right? You guys have to make the decision on the conservation stuff. And
Who wrote the grant up, or who wrote the agreement up?
The town administrator in Ashfield, Paul.
I was sitting here reading through it before our meeting, because I didn't get a chance to today, but, it all looks good. The only question that I had on it was, just the retirement portion that they have in there, that all the towns would continue paying in on retirement. Is that something we do with like Shelburne now for the sewer district?
Yeah, it's yes, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. That's all included in our assessments, those fees are included. Same with Kyle. Whoever is the lead organization would be responsible for the filings, but the cost of that retirement would be included in whatever share of assessment you receive.
I'd love to see it happen.
I just haven't seen that in
Yeah, yeah.
the agreements.
I think the nice thing is that we've got 1 year paid, we're committed to a couple years after that, we'll see, and then we can say, hopefully, I think it would be great. I really anticipate that all the towns were really happy, and the other towns would say, yeah, we can't get any conservation commission, but enough members, but if we had a core person that we could work around, then that would be great. And if it doesn't work for whatever reason, you can go back to the old way after 3 years too.
Yeah.
So we're looking at roughly 4,000 to take a stab at it and see if it
Yeah,
is a right fit for the town.
Over 2 years, yes.
yeah, over 2 years, yeah,
Well, I'm a big fan of regionalization
right.
and sharing this kind of responsibility.
And the Conservation Commission is important right now with so many things happening.
Right.
we also, this is a community that has a excessive amount of wetlands
Yeah.
and wetland buffer areas, and we also have a lot of people that care very deeply about maintaining them and hold all of us accountable for that. And I think having a professional
Yeah.
in our corner
Yes.
would be lovely.
I've got a meeting with Anthony Monday morning
Oh,
to talk about, just educating him about the fact that we have a lot of water in town, and he's got to be careful about.
thank you for reaching out.
A lot of it landed in my cellar on the 4th of July.
Yeah. That's where it's changed, because I never, in the Birch Road house, we never had a wet basement.
Yeah.
Until after Irene.
Yeah.
And then it was wet all the time.
I think what happened is just the water runs off the mountain. You don't realize
But
how
it
it runs
changed
off
the
that
water
mountain.
courses.
It changed because the house
Yeah.
built here or there, and
Yeah.
yeah, it was still there.
Interesting.
You have
Yeah.
gutters?
Oh, I put gutters up, I wrapped the house with,
Yeah.
with,
clay and lead.
membrane.
The only
I'm
thing
in
you
a
haven't
sandy
changed is
area.
that big hill behind your.
No, I sold the house. Oh, this house, anyway. The new house, we don't have any problems with.
Yeah, but that's a lot of ledge and
Yeah.
clay, and that water can just change
Yep,
direction.
and it comes in underneath, it bubbles up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
so,
my old house, we could have stocked fish in the basement.
yeah.
Oh, do you really? On green?
Water flowed,
Right
came
through.
in from the upper side and went
Yeah.
out, and
Yeah.
it just
Right.
did that, and
I
every cellar hole
hear
all the
you.
way down.
Oh,
So,
you're in the bottom.
lots of streams, lots of floodplain.
Yep.
Now, here's a, for instance, I'm just asking because I was questioning,
Okay.
would this agent, or do you do something like this? There's a section of land up behind us on Elm Street that starts at Dungarvan and goes down. It's like 15 acres. And my son had looked at it and says, geez, maybe I could buy it and put a house up there. But people said, well, you have to get someone from the
Well,
to come in and look and see if this is a satisfactory place for a house, yada, yada.
yeah, we can't tell you if you can or can't.
Yeah.
You know, you have to hire,
Yeah. I
Larry,
guess
we gotta
so we gotta move on, but you gotta hire some, but 200 feet from running water is about what I usually use.
Yeah, okay.
If you wanna do less than that, then it costs you a lot more money. You can do it.
Well, thank you, Steve.
Great.
I'll make a motion to support the shared conservation agent intermunicipal agreement.
I'll second that, yeah.
All right, any further discussion? Bearing none, all in favor? Aye.
Great, thank you very much. I'm
right.
excited to have
Yeah.
this happen, and
Thank you for doing it too, Steve.
we'll see how long it lasts. So I grow it, and then my wife decides when it comes off.
It looks pretty cool.
Yeah, thank you. All right, see you guys, thank you very
Thanks,
much.
Steve.
Perfect.
All right, so next we have our 5:45 coming in at almost 55. We have a hearing for a additional Verizon pole. We have a Verizon representative, Don Bonner,
Hi.
to ask for the
Welcome.
easement on Conway Road. This is a public hearing, so I will move to open the hearing.
I second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, welcome, Don.
Thank you. Don Varner from Verizon. Yep, you already got that, but I feel like I need to state it anyway. So this petition is for a new pole on Conway Road. I just went down to the site. I trust you folks have your plan, a copy of it. I just drove down there to take measurements. The measurements are almost exact to what you see, which is rare, but it happens. There's a new house that's just been built up on the hill. This new pole is going to be going right beside the driveway on the southern side of the driveway, almost midway between. Right now, the span is over 320 feet, which is long. It's fine when there's nothing there, but they're putting a driveway in, so you want to make sure the lines are elevated, so they can get moving trucks and delivery trucks.
That's the large house they're building.
Yeah, up on the hill?
Up on the hill with the, just every time I ride by, I go, geez, add a little more.
Yeah, beautiful mountain view.
Oh, yes, it's gonna be.
But that's essentially the purpose, is to keep the wires elevated and provide service to this new house.
Actually, I drove by it last night on my way home, so,
Okay.
yeah, that is a long span.
Yeah, it is.
All right, well, I think first we'll open it up to any public comment. It sounds like everyone in the public is out in the other room. All right, I will make a motion to accept the petition for the new Verizon pole.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion?
No, this is still going to be owned by Verizon, and it's going to be regular. This isn't like a private pole.
Correct. This is,
Okay, I just said, yeah.
it's in the
I know
public right of
Sometimes when you
way
build a house, you have to get your own.
for an easement, yeah.
Yeah.
This is actually going to be, it's an inline pole with the two existing ones.
Okay.
So it's put right, almost in the middle.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Sorry, Clint.
Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you.
You're all set. Thank you.
Hope we didn't make it too hard on you.
Not at all.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks, Don, nice to meet you.
You want me to send you the next two, or?
Yeah, they'll find their way.
They're fine, don't worry about them.
Now we're back on track.
Okay.
Close the hearing.
Yes, I will move to close the public hearing.
Second that?
All in favor?
Aye.
And then back to our notice of
Well, it
meeting.
got really warm, didn't it?
Yeah. So we have a few minutes, and we'll be, you know what, we got a few minutes. You want to move in? How much surplus do we have?
You've got the list, it's pretty
Yeah, I was
quick.
looking at it already.
You can vote it as printed. We identified a number of items as we were cleaning out for the bulky waste day. We took advantage of Saturday's event. The items that you have in front of you were all determined to have no value. So there wasn't anything for resale.
Okay.
I can tell you now, or under my town administrator's report, that the items that we had previously declared surplus at the police station, we had our tag sale on Saturday. It was really well attended, surprisingly so. Treasure hunters, and we made a little over $600, which obviously will get turned into the general fund to be repurposed next year. You know, we won't have access to those funds, but yeah, it was a good event. Joan was there manning the negotiations downstairs.
It was a lot of fun.
Word got out quickly that you could make a better deal upstairs than you could downstairs.
Oh, well, that's not true. I would welcome them in
Yeah.
and say, hope you find something you love or like and give us a price. I haven't turned down anyone yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was interesting. Some people came back more than once.
Yeah. Yeah, we had some good pickers.
Yeah, it was really fun.
So I did just talk to Anthony yesterday too. He was talking about maybe a trailer going on as well. He must not have that ready to go yet.
Okay, yeah. Yeah.
Did we get rid
We'll
of the TV in the back? No.
Yes.
Oh, we did?
Yeah.
Phew, okay.
Yeah, that was the one upstairs in the,
Okay. That was upstairs.
yeah. So that list, if you want to vote it to accept, so we have documentation of, that we declared that no value and that it can be disposed of.
Sure.
Okay, so this is all stuff you're actually just looking to discard.
Yeah,
Okay.
nothing that can be saved. Sure.
I will move to accept the list of items here for surplus property
I'll second that.
to be able to be disposed of. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Mike, you didn't bring scones.
Oh, my God.
I'm sorry, the meeting's over.
Yep. You can come back next time.
Yeah, next time,
You
sorry,
promised
you didn't
us
bring the
scones at your
scones,
last
sorry.
I made scones and distributed them all over the planet this morning for the guys working at the Wild Homestead, which I gotta give you guys a tour.
All right, it is 6 o'clock. We have our next appointment. We've got the Riverview Park Committee Public Information Session. I'd like to welcome Mike and Walt. Walt. And hopefully and
Marie.
Marie.
Yep.
All right. Welcome. And it looks like we're getting some.
Yep.
It's just.
Oh, that's a nice, that's a nice rendition.
I actually inserted, do you want one, Heather?
Sure, actually, if you want to give one to Mary for the record, that'd be excellent, Mary, thank you.
So this is not the pavilion, it's just putting them in so that you can.
It's a reasonable facsimile thereof.
There you go.
Just helping you out with that.
Thank you. You got an extra one for?
I do.
Let's see, maybe Walt had it. All right, yeah, this is pretty cool. So this is Marie's recent rendition. So I guess is it fair to, we should start off with the,
And on the back is a brief summary of the proposal.
yeah. And and Marie's, she did some, what do you call it, photoshopping?
Yeah.
Photoshopping.
Good
Because
to
we,
know you had that skill.
And it's recent photoshopping because all the other construction equipment's
I
still
see
there.
the,
Yes, right, it's before Deepak's.
Cindy and Taylor. Yes. Cindy and Taylor, yeah.
Blue.
Hi.
So, we've spent a lot of time under Walt's aegis of, in his design prowess, to come up with a concept, and I would say at this time, we're universally supportive, and we've had opportunity for public to weigh in and ingested that kind of information, including next door neighbors, which was actually almost delightful. Other than, I would tell you that Ann Brower, if she hasn't contacted you directly, she is very interested in lowering the speed limit on Conway Street. And maybe you've heard about that, maybe not. But I did go and ask her, I said, what do you feel about what we're doing here, and make sure you're comfortable and everything. And that was the nub of it. She just wanted to make sure, I mean, we talked about stuff, but that was the one thing that she really wanted to put forth. And that's not under our purview at all, but I thought I'd for sure to share that with you. And then there was another woman who, whose name I don't recall, who lived next door upstairs or something.
Right.
She felt pretty good about it. She knew that the view was going to be great. She lives upstairs already. Yeah. So, anyway, maybe I should just turn to Walt, to who's.
Well, we want to use more time than we have. I'm assuming it's pretty short, and so we won't make a big presentation. And you're probably just being in town up to date, but a couple of paraphrase things. It was an opportunity. Mike and I had conversations, I can believe it, 20-some years ago about this parcel. And
Mike was talking for 20 years straight, right? 20 short.
Zip it, I know.
and so here we are with the opportunity when the land was gifted to the town, and it's an opportunity in waiting. And the thing I ended up saying the other day, and we'll repeat here, is that it's like a smile with a gap tooth. This piece is kind of central at the nexus of lots of things. And it is nondescript. It is not definable as a functional space. It's too steep to land on and use and make use of. It's hard to maintain. And it's a manageable size. So the opportunity, and it offers a great opportunity for viewing and linking up the commercial parts of town and providing a view station that's pretty spectacular over the river. The plan has 4 parts, 4 or 5. Let's make them 5. We have a ramp up to a terrace. We have a pavilion that will see its final design coming in the near future, a spiral stairway going up, and then some additional gardens, not unlike what we're finding around on the Bridge of Flowers, kind of an extension of that garden and a companion piece to that. Not as big, not as ornate, not as large, but still a garden place to sit. The pavilion's there because not unlike what we're getting in Shelburne across the street, and it doesn't have to be exactly like that, it probably won't be. There's no sheltered space for hot sunny days or stormy days, and when you have people in town and they can't count on it, once they get in their car, the engines go on and they leave and commerce suffers and so on. But you can hang out if there's a little storm and view the river. It might even become a platform for small events on occasion. It's meant to be a great place. And it's meant to be a circulation connection space. So you can go then from Conway Street with all the way going down to the intersection at McCuskers Market and then back up the street. It's a connection to the neighborhoods up above. And we've had at the public meeting neighbors who said they really like that part of the plan because it's a route from the Depot Street now improved down below. As Heather's pointed out in meetings, you've got two big projects going on. This is the piece in between that's the connector, and it's like bringing the upgrade to make those all work together in a harmonious way. So manageable size and opportunity with those four pieces. I think the best thing to do is respond to questions or comments that you might have about the project and make sure we go to the things that really count for you guys.
Okay, I have a question. I did mention this when you first brought it up, and now I see a spiral staircase. Are you working with an engineer that we're paying to do Depot Road? So, I mean, so you could hitch to, I'm asking, are you just assuming you could do that?
We have a proposal in hand to do the engineering for the portion of this. We take it pretty far in our own office, so that's already there, but they'll make sure the steel's right, the footings are the right depth.
Well, I'm just curious. I didn't even know if you...
So your engineering firm is GCG?
It's Mike Carter with GCG Associates, which is the same engineer that we've been working with on the depot in the freight yard.
Well, I was questioning, they saw the spiral staircase, which is neat, don't get me wrong, but going up it, you're now attaching it to their river walkway. I kind of chuckle that it's Riverview Park and Riverview Walkway. They've just hardtop. That's all I was asking because we don't.
And that's the second phase. There's two phases in the project. We're imagining and hoping that the pavilion will be part of the first phase, but that spiral staircase being a kind of a separate piece. And what we would imagine is giving a form design that we were looking for, and then working with a fabricator who does that, who has the insurance policies, who will install it, so it's a one-shop place to go to make that happen when the funds are available to have that happen. So that won't be done now nor engineered now. It's a holding place for that to happen in the future.
Okay, because that's by then we'll have to talk about it again and make sure we have.
Because that kind of I have a lot of reservations about the staircase. First one is who's going to be in charge of maintaining that staircase?
Right.
Especially in, obviously we'd be looking at wintertime as well. Shoveling it, doing all of that. And also, I think the biggest question is who's liable for this staircase? So if somebody falls off of it, falls down it,
Kids.
who's going to be liable for that?
So your question is expanded actually and has come up in the public meetings. The whole issue of maintenance isn't fully resolved yet. We're at a stage when we call this an opportunity, something to really move down and explore. And we see that being needed to be resolved. It's obviously on town land currently, so that has to be parsed and negotiated. And if you did a spiral design, it would meet all the ADA regs and so on for it. But there's always a hazard. I mean, a curb becomes a hazard. You're already, as a town, subject to that exposure. So, but it's a special one, and people can jump from the upper floor of a building or something.
No, I agree. This just seems to me like it's more of an inviting opportunity to do so.
That's the second phase. We got more time to talk about.
We have more time to talk about that, and then the design would have to come before the town again, and you guys. And I'm seeing.
I would just like you guys to know moving forward that these are some of the reservations that I have.
And we do.
We imagine it for winter use that it would be open treads, so we're not storing snow on the thing, so it's a little less, and that it would be protected with a roof structure and to some extent enclosed. So it's, but it can't do it for security places too much. You got to do it the right combination, and so there comes design. But those all are things in our mind, meeting first the codes that we're required to meet, and then an aesthetic code, and then structural. So it's a little bit of a dance with people who've done this before. when we do it, and they will, because spiral cases exist, and there are towns with grade changes in them, where there are public stairs like that, there's experience with, and these companies would have experience with the insurance and whatever that goes with that.
I had no trouble with phase one. Like I said, that's your basics good right there. It was, once again, the spiral staircase connecting to the work we're having done on Depot Road, and, I just want to make sure that all the Ts are crossed, the Is dotted, we're legally with that company.
There's somebody who really is watching out.
Oh, she is. She is. I say that about, I aim for her when I say those things. 'Cause she's very good at it. So.
It's a good reminder, and we're with you, and that will have to, it's going to have to happen on this phase as well, so.
Yeah.
I have a question. So you mentioned the possibility of events in the pavilion. Who's going to organize that, regulate that?
Well, we haven't decided to have events
You
there.
would. As the,
So people wouldn't have to know they have to get a permission to do that? And is
Yeah,
there,
if
is
it's
there a
in
limit on
public
size?
space and it's on public land.
Is it like a limit of size, say someone wants a wedding
that
there?
would be something that you would, as you have
Would be a building use
Yeah.
permit for the town.
town property, and we do have a policy in place for that, so.
Excellent, okay.
Yeah.
So it would
My
fall under the
question's
current
answered.
policy, I would think. I can imagine a brass band coming out of the Blue Rock and going down on, blowing their horns on the terrace and so on, but
No karaoke, though.
nobody, well, yeah, for sure. Yes, ma'am.
I'm Mary Bolduc,
Hi,
58
Mary.
Ashfield Road. I have a question about the design, only because I love sitting on the porch of Blue Rock in the warm weather, and looking up and down the river is just beautiful, you
Yep.
know? And it looks to me like the staircase with the roof over it will get in the way of the view from the porch of the Blue Rock. Plus, there's a new tree that's shown there. Probably in my lifetime, it won't get big enough, but it could. And I
I'm with
see
you.
at least two things there that will interfere with the view from the porch of the Blue Rock, which is a wonderful asset that we have in town.
And there's a tree, so the way to test that is the current tree that's there. And people sit there and they haven't said problematic, I found that to be problematic. So another tree, you're right, will take time, it'll be more foliage in the view. But the roof of the pavilion will be significantly, will be below, so that it won't be messing with if you pick the one that I'm favoring currently, the roof will be four-pitched, and it'll be lower, not like the one we're seeing across the river in Shelburne Falls, and a little more dynamic structure, a little more sculptural.
Okay, so
In its form.
that really is in
Yeah, this is closer to-
perspective then?
This is closer to what it would be, yeah.
And,
Here we go.
yeah, I've
There you go.
got it right up
Yeah,
here,
there we go.
yeah. It's the same,
That roof and flag at the top is not,
Seems to be melted.
That's not the Blue Rock, that's on the Blue Rock, the upper one. That's the porch.
No,
I realize that.
No, but the red with the flag is
Red, yeah, yeah.
is your structure.
So I would say, I could sit there and say, boy, that's a wonderful piece of sculpture, and it'll be pretty transparent at that level, anyway, because it's gonna be straight out. So it'll be just a piece of sculpture with a flag on it and people standing as part of the foreground view. But it's not, having practiced landscape architecture for a very long time, one does not have to have the full panoramic view uninterrupted to make it interesting. In fact, it can be interesting with features in it. And for me, it may not be for you, for me, it could be an advantage to have that there.
Well, I don't mind features, that just looks like an obstruction to me.
Yeah.
But that'll come up later on.
That'll come up later on as
We're
well.
just-
Yeah,
we're just-
that'll be
we're
later
just-
on. And-
Yes.
And something that I just, that Walt said, but there is already, I think it's right around here, there is a tree right here.
Exactly.
Which he did say,
It's dying.
you probably don't even notice that it's there, but it's apparently dying, so it's slated to come out. So this is one that, as you said, it'll be a while before it's actually
That one
big.
is further,
This is a new tree. It's further to the
to
right.
that side from where the Blue Rock goes out to sit. They primarily have,
yeah, there it says existing
yeah,
tree.
they probably have the left hand looking at it from here, side of the porch.
There's this one here.
That one is there, yeah.
Yeah, but this one is, I forget, where is it in the picture? Oh, it is to
The
the left
maple,
of the
it's
porch,
existing
yeah.
maple.
This roof, to be clear, is absolutely well below.
Yeah, that I
Yeah,
can
yeah.
see.
But I think your concerns about this,
That one, yeah.
it is, the flag is optional, but the whole thing is optional, but you can see right through it, so it's not like, if you go stand on the porch, there is currently a sign that says, well, I don't know actually if it's been taken out since they did the work. I recently stood on the porch and looked out, and there was a sign that is a do not park maybe on that side, on the river side of the porch, and it comes up to about the height, as I recall, as what the roof is. And, you know, if you look and you think, okay, so if there's a small structure, a small roof this wide, it's not necessarily gonna be this horrible thing in the middle.
It appears.
That is further down the road.
I could say it appears that the phase one looks good to me anyways, and that's phase two. We will need some further discussion and further, further proof. I don't mean it in a negative way, but that it's going to be okay, not obstruct Mary's view, because she,
Mary represents,
because she's short too to begin with.
but her view
Yeah, but they
represents
have the
other
high
people's view too.
tabletops on the porch.
Yeah, so that'll come up later
Well,
on.
the overall aim is to improve the views for everybody and not to maim anybody, so that's in consideration for you.
Well, we have the nice, I
And I
just
do
looked at,
appreciate art and architecture and all of
Yes,
that.
yes.
So, but,
and the review walk that they have just submitted there is just coming down Depot. It's like, wow, it's gonna be nice to walk down that, a nice summer evening, and, yes.
And I might have mentioned this at the last meeting, but we were up in Stowe this last winter, and right next to the Stowe Town Hall, going down to Municipal Park and Trail System, they have, it looks like a covered bridge, it's much bigger than this, but the stairway kind of stairs there, I think they're like galvanized metal stairs, and they're rough, so, but snow and ice can go right through them. So, I don't know what the treads would actually be, but that's what I'm imagining, not unlike what's on, used to be my building, fire escape. They're not
Yeah,
slippery.
it's fire escape kind of construction.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Yeah. I have a question for Heather, and as an outsider, I was wondering, are we seeking endorsement, or are we seeking approval, or what are we doing here?
So, I think that because it's town property, I think that any improvements to town property, what form of endorsement, would be up to the board. I just would want to make sure that before we let them loose on grant fundings and whatnot, that we know what they're intending to do there and that you support it.
Yeah, Whitty's
It
in the
would-
grant
yeah,
writing.
right,
I don't know
right.
if you've all heard that or not.
Yeah.
Like, I need to know, this is
Yeah,
what we're gonna
yeah.
go with? Yeah.
She was in grant writing mode last year.
Yeah.
Do we need to have somebody look this over for what this,
Yeah,
I
so-
don't,
so
no
we've-
disrespect, I
No,
just feel like
no,
from our
Walt-
side, we should.
Walt and Mike Carter have been,
Okay, oh, they have, okay.
as often as we can get Mike to return a
Exactly.
call, right?
Oh, all right, you're already working with them,
Yeah,
so,
they're-
okay.
they are working and sharing notes and sharing cost estimates.
And gone back and forth, so.
Yeah.
And Mike, we had a really good conversation, a working session 2 or 3 months back, and as a result, his worry about bedrock and so on allowed us to really dig in and crunch
No
that
pun
the
intended.
space and the
Yeah.
distances and so on, so we don't end up in construction problems and with walls more than 5 feet, which puts a different kind of footing under the ground. So know that the engineering input is already going in. We're pretty good ourselves.
Very
We have
good.
his input as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking of, we're responsible.
Yeah.
We're-
Yeah, absolutely.
We're the ones that they're gonna come back on,
So-
so I appreciate that, because the two sides can work together that way. We have a lot of respect for that.
Yeah, they're doing a good job for the town.
They are.
It's one of the reasons, and they're right there, so it's one of the.
And I'm sure you are anyways yourself, sir, so yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you.
So I would like to be mindful of the fact that creating another park space does, and I'm not in any way saying that it shouldn't just be mindful that it does create more work for our highway crew. There'll obviously be a trash receptacle there that will need to be emptied. The area will need to be, the weeds and the mowing and all of that will have to be maintained by our departments, which they're probably very capable of doing, just we're adding another park space. I am more in line with phase one moving forward, and then I think I'm hearing the same sentiment from you all about that spiral staircase. I have some insurance concerns about the liability of that. It really would be lovely, but I think that knowing that it's phase two gives me a little bit of peace of mind to do a little bit more homework on that. And I would like to offer that there is an ADA grant that is open now and due on the 15th, and that we might put some energy into creating or seeking funding through ADA for the ramp that leads to the pavilion. If this is a design that you want to move forward with, I could write that grant and supplement the committee's work with the grants.
And then you're saying June 15th versus
June 14th is when it's due.
June 14th. Okay.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you didn't mention the month, so I knew the day was
Yeah,
the 14th.
yeah, no. Actually, when I went back to double check the date this afternoon, I did that. What month am I in?
Yeah, I totally understand.
It starts to blur. So, if you do endorse this plan, know that I would likely bring back to you an application for ADA for that ramp.
It occurs to me to insert two little things. One is, one could think of a more conventional stairway, and we're not going to recommend it because it would end up being as costly as everything else on the project. It would be a true encumbrance to the view, to the river, and be calling attention to itself. So the choice was to do a as transparent as is going to be possible sculptural piece that really is pleasant to look at and serves the job.
And I don't deny that, but like I said, you can see our position is safety and
Seeing that it's enclosed and that it has a roof, that's,
This one doesn't.
yeah, that's a step in the, well, but I mean, this is where, when we start talking phase two,
Right.
this is the kind of stuff that we want to be talking about.
That is something we'll
So,
tackle down the road.
Yeah.
I think the only, this whole thing is screaming public space, and I love it. The only thing that I hope you guys at least took into consideration is the only other thing that I've heard the public screaming about for public space is a bathroom.
We wish this was the right place. We do, but
We looked at it really hard, and for multiple reasons, it's not the place to land. First of all, I do want to mention, this is becoming public space, but just to add to the way you might explain it to others, it's really, for me, when you have what the quality is, it's a really steep piece of land, and it's not a place to land or walk.
Right.
And we're taking something that's inaccessible and making it a accessible destination. It's a pretty big reversal.
So this section here under the pavilion isn't gonna actually be flat?
Oh, yeah, no, it is flat. There's a ramp up to it.
Right.
Yeah, and so, but we're taking the steep land and making a flat place
Right.
where people can be, rest, and we're gonna say gather.
So it's going to be better than the concrete slab that's there now. It's
Well,
supposed to
it'll
be
be a
flat, yeah.
concrete slab, but a nice one.
Well, but a little more than that, is what I'm
Walls
saying,
and
yeah.
so on. And the other thing I did want to add is that when we had a vision and thinking that the accessibility grant might help, a good half, the walls that contain the ramp and the ramp itself are approximately half of the first phase without the pavilion. So is in both an area in terms of cost. It's right up there. So it would really be helpful if there were an ADA grant to help the committee move this whole thing forward.
I have a question. So if you have events there, what kind of toilet facilities would you have for people to use?
What kind of toilet facilities?
Yeah.
We don't have toilet facilities as we do not now, so.
Right, so I'm saying, but if you're going to allow events there,
Yeah.
where are people going to go to the bathroom?
They'll come over to town because they're,
Where it happens currently, or if it's a bigger event, and I'm not imagining, this is not a space for a big event, I'm thinking of a few people, but if there's a big event, you would end up renting.
Right.
Yeah, so-
That's the issue that I'm running into though, is that, you would say that people would go into town to use it.
Where?
Where? There is no place.
Understand,
That's
yeah.
one of the issues we're running into.
We totally
That's what I'd
understand.
like to know is why is it not feasible? So you did say that it wasn't feasible. Why is it not?
Well, we went
why
through
would
a
it not
whole
be
list in
feasible?
terms of cost, in terms of getting water and utilities there.
I think
There's
it's
an
because
exchange that
there's-
has happened, and maybe my committee will help, and Heather was part of the discussion too, maybe have it in their files, but we can bring that document up, but there was a long list of things that really said this wasn't the place for it, as much as we'd like to see the facilities in the town.
It is also built, what it's built upon is limiting. You know,
Yeah.
there's
That's the
there's
biggest-
bedrock pretty quick under
Yeah.
there. And, you know, so, and we were told that we really can't be digging in that space, so the space got to be high. I mean, that's why we're going up and
We're
leveling.
raising instead of digging, and the walls are not any deeper than they need to be height-wise, so we don't have the footing digging issue.
Right.
And there's very limited space there, so the cost of doing it, the bathrooms would take up the entire, essentially, entire terrace. And so there is not enough room for the two. Maybe that's a place to start. I'm trying to recall our.
I mean, I don't think it would take, I was actually looking at your diagram here that you guys gave us, and, I mean, you're looking at a 20-foot by 30-foot pavilion.
Pavilion, exactly.
And then, you know, if I was reading your diagram correctly, you've got 10 feet of space between the back portion and, you know, for where the staircase would be. So you've got 10 feet of space from the end of your pavilion to there. So could we look at reducing the pavilion down to like a 20 by 20, which would then give you 20 feet of space in the back, you know?
The utilities are an issue, and the connection, getting those to hook up. And,
I think it would be useful to, Heather, did you get a copy of that? There was an email where it discussed all the drawback, all the reasons why. I thought it was Mike Carter who said this is not an appropriate location for bathroom.
I joined in with the extended memo as well, so.
I would agree to that.
Yeah, I mean, that's just,
bad.
in the end, it may not be the appropriate location for it. It's just, my thought is that we're starting to run out of locations in the downtown
Well,
area.
it's a toughie, it
Yeah,
really is.
it is.
And
It
one
is.
would think if we're going to add some level of activity, it's not big, and we don't want to make them huge events because they won't work there. But if there's activity there, you want to have the bathrooms near, and it's centered at the
But I mean,
town.
for people to go and sit and have lunch,
But
you know, if they're
but it ends up
touring the
quickly
town.
becoming the thing you look at. We can drop a porta potty out there before we put the pavilion up, and then take a look at it. We can
And
make
I
it-
don't think people
we can
are
make it
going to
a
want to
good
sit
porta
at a
potty.
picnic table
Yes.
next to a porta potty.
Exactly, and to look at it, it becomes the feature, so it was
Right.
just too big a programmatic demand.
That's why I wouldn't, obviously, I wouldn't want a porta potty. I'm thinking
No.
more of a enclosed.
Well, I'm totally with you, we're gonna make it a nice porta potty,
Yeah.
but it's gonna be what you look at. And you're looking at a bathroom in the center of the town.
We looked everywhere. We looked out behind the buildings, and Mike knows what we're talking
Yeah,
about.
there-
between
those are
there.
hidden.
And, no, but I mean, as far as out there, to say, gee, we took two, three parking spaces, could it ever be built, could it be done, where, you know, we gotta find something for
See, whereas I
the
see
people
it-
that come in town.
Yeah, there's discussion of the
Beautiful
barn
mural
behind you
area
there.
for that side of that building. You know, if you had part of the building facing the road, there's another big platform for a mural or a mosaic. You know, so I mean, you could certainly decorate it.
Well, there are some serious issues with regard to the water and sewer like that, 'cause you
Right.
can't dig down.
Right.
So,
So, yeah.
We were
So,
not planning to put water to the property.
Is there lighting there, electric?
There will be a lighting and electric,
Okay.
yes. And then we're going to need to adjust the location of a transformer as part of the process. but-
So the email that everybody is referencing was from Mike Carter when we met last time and asked for his opinion on whether or not bathrooms. And he said, think the site is too small for a bathroom and a park area. It would become a bathroom area. Also, you would be required to excavate to tie into the sewer, which could pose issues with potential contaminated soils. But I think that we know that we need a bathroom downtown.
Yeah.
And we talked
Yeah, I mean,
quite a
there's
little bit about,
certainly other options, you know, we'd actually talked about possibly doing some remodeling to the town hall, actually. You know, for more of a cost saving.
The backside over here or something?
So using this back entrance, you know, moving the locked area in
It
to
just
the
seems
internal door.
to me too that it's, you would want to have a bathroom not in like a prime viewing location, but sort of more out of the way. I mean, easy to find, of course, but not sort of out in the city.
And that's the issue is,
Yeah.
you know, easy to find.
Right.
You know,
Easy to find.
is it easy to find when somebody has to walk down, you know, a beautiful alleyway that, you know, our town.
It's a beautiful alleyway.
It
is.
We let them call it an alley
They
anymore.
did a nice job. No, they did.
Yeah,
yeah.
nice job,
Did,
yeah.
yeah. It's about the only spot we could think of.
Right.
You know, right
I mean,
off
so
here.
there's, you know, there's definitely other options, and
Yeah.
that one actually popped into my mind yesterday about moving the interior door into the entranceway to the back door of the town hall. And having, because there's already a bathroom there.
Yeah.
And we just move that door, and then move the lock, and then seal it off on the inside. So now you have outside access to that door. So, you know,
Coming through the whole.
this isn't the only one I'm questioning on.
But if
you
we
know,
didn't ask, we wouldn't know.
Right.
You know, that's why we're asking. You said ask the question, and we are.
What about parking? Where would you expect people to be parking?
You're improving the parking on Depot Street up above, and if we put the spiral staircase in, that solves that problem.
Until that gets there, they can jump over the fence and slide down.
But it's harder to find parking spaces than bathroom spaces. It's really tough.
It is, it is.
I think that we're not actually expecting this to increase traffic necessarily,
Yeah,
but
right.
to enrich the traffic that's there.
That's
Or
right.
to enrich the experience of the people who are already
Thank you.
coming, and to help move them on their feet even from
Toward down through the hills.
McCuskers and, you know, across from the bridge. Now they have a reason to walk along the river, stop at the pavilion, get the view, then head along over to the mill and
The
all
mill,
of
yeah,
that.
what that's done,
And
yes.
so it's not that the pavilion is going to be drawing drivers and
Yeah.
vehicles. It's that the pavilion is to actually increase the foot traffic that happens, and more of a reason. Because you're not going to drive in your car, most people, to get to the pavilion.
yeah.
Since you've raised it, the issue of the size of the pavilion, 20 by 30 is in fact what's shown, and we were reluctant, we've given preference to have it a little bit bigger than that even. So there's plenty of coverage. If you put a couple of picnic tables in there, which is one of the possibilities, it's pretty well used up. And we want it to be a little more civic in its scale, so that there's a little more that can happen. So you don't say, well, that's a picnic space, and I can't even go stand there. You gotta
Yeah.
get under the roof, so.
I have a question.
Jim.
I'm Ann Brower to Conway Street, so I know Conway Street. And I am concerned that the roof of the pavilion in winter, no sun really hits the road. I know you've done work to get some of the water off of Conway Street, but I'm concerned that it might shade Conway Street and create more ice, because in winter, when it's so cold, it freezes like that. It doesn't run anyplace.
Hi, come on in.
You're more than welcome.
Wrong meeting.
I'm needing to put the compass on, so south is directly down. East and west,
You don't
the
get-
buildings up above, Blue Rock is going to be shading the hillside before the pavilion will be shading anything. So that it's a taller building. Well, we don't have an image up right now, but there.
Hi.
So the pavilion is a very small roof footprint, and it will not be shading, adding appreciably to any shade on Conway Street. The fact that Depot Street is already higher, and then for 3 stories worth and a roof, Blue Rock is much higher. That's the one that's providing the western shade that you'd have to be concerned with, so.
And might it be possible to put some of those kinds of devices on the roof that disallow the snow from sliding up? Well, this would be asphalt, we don't know what the roof will be.
It has to be looked at because the snow would slide onto the ramp.
Yeah,
And so.
so you don't want that, you want the snow to stay there.
Yeah.
Yeah. could come flying out. There was ice and land right on the road when someone's driving
You
by.
like walking alongside the town hall
So,
in the winter?
so